Here with JB from Grand Magus. JB, thanks for taking the time to have a chat with me today.
My pleasure.
You've got a new album coming out very soon, October 18th. Let's just go back a little bit if we can. Tell us about from the last album up until now. You were touring, I believe, on the last album when pandemic hit.
Yes.
Is that, yeah, okay. What happened then? I mean, how shut down was it over there? We've got our own stories from over here, of course. What was it like over there?
Yeah. Well, we were on tour and we were doing the last few shows in the UK and Ireland, and we got wind of the news of a pandemic. I'd never heard that word before, actually. And so we were like, okay, what's going on? And we all got sick. So the last 4 shows we did, we were actually pretty fucking sick.
Yeah.
And I guess super spreaders, since we traveled across several countries. But anyway, so our agent said that you need to buy new tickets home and leave tomorrow, otherwise you're going to get stuck here. And so we got lucky and did that. And then I spent like 2.5 weeks in bed when I got home. And then 2 years disappeared for pretty much everyone around the globe, I guess. And in Sweden, I guess we were notorious for having very lax rules regarding the pandemic. We were allowed to do pretty much everything as normal, but obviously gigs and things like that was out of the question. But anyway, we kind of said to each other, unless things are pretty much going back to the way they were before, let's just take a break and see what happens. So after those 2 years, things started to get back to normal. We did 4 festivals in 22, I think. And we felt that, yeah, this is pretty much like it was, or it was exactly like it was. And so the inspiration to do new music turned up, and we decided to take 23 and focus on just writing music and recording a new album. That's what happened.
Who's doing the writing? Do you do it as a band? Do each of you contribute in their own way, or is one person doing the lion's share? How's that work on the writing side of things?
I would say that since I'm the guitar player and singer, it would be very difficult for anyone else to do the lion part of the writing. So what we do is that I bring my ideas and we get together and jam, and then everyone puts in their own ideas to this, and I kind of steer the ship, so to speak, and then I take back what we've done and I kind of modify it a bit if needed, and then we meet up again. And sometimes Fox has a riff that we try out and it ends up in the song, and etc. So it's a collaborative effort, but I'm in charge, so to speak.
When you decided to get back together and join up again and get back into it, did it feel like you'd never taken a break? Did it just slot back in easily, or was it a slow process?
Once we decided to make a new album, it was very, very instinctively like it was before. But leading up to that, the feeling or the passion or the inspiration to do something, that was a long process, because during during the pandemic, I had no interest in writing music whatsoever. And it took some time to rekindle that flame again, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So where was the album recorded?
We recorded it at the Sweet Spot studio outside of Halmstad on the southwest coast of Sweden. The very studio where we recorded Wolf God, the previous album, and with the same co-producer, mixing engineer Staffan Karlsson. So I think the only difference between Wolf God and Sunraven when it comes to the ingredients, so to speak, is that I used Fender Stratocaster for all the solos. Otherwise, it's pretty much we did it exactly the same way. But obviously, it sounds different because every album we've done is like a testament to our frame of mind as people and as a band at that particular time. So,
Okay. You mentioned the Stratocaster for the solos. That intrigues me. What was the reasoning behind that?
well, I've always liked the Strat sound, and actually, in the very beginning, when Fox and me had like the embryo for Grand Magus, I played a Strat, and I've always felt that with it's a more open sound and a bit more unique, maybe.
Yep.
And I think it really fits playing solos on it because it sounds richer somehow. And
Yeah.
also, I mean, Jimi Hendrix was always a huge inspiration for me, along with Richie Blackmore and Malmsteen. So I've always been fond of Strat players. So, and I've used Strats before in Grand Magus too on the albums. Usually, one of the rhythm tracks is also a Strat, which it was on Sunraven. Yeah, not on Wolf God though.
Yeah. Okay. One final question on the Strat. Single coil Strats, or is there a humbucker in there? I'm only asking because my son's got a Strat, so it's always the talk between me and him is always pickups.
Yeah. Well, the answer is yes and no, because on the Strat I used, it's noiseless single coils, so it's a humbucker, but it's stacked instead of
like Malmsteen style,
side by side. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it doesn't hum,
Yeah.
but it's still got the open Strats kind of glassy sound, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us about the album. I've heard the album. I love it. I like the sound of it, the earthiness. It's clean, but it's got just the right amount of dirty, if that makes sense. Tell us about the songs on there, and there's a bit of a story in there. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I'm delighted to hear that people like the album because it's always a bit nerve-wracking when you release something that you yourself are quite familiar with, and but you never know how people are going to react. So yeah, well, this time around, it is a concept album, and the concept is more of a starting point for my own ideas and themes and stuff like that. But so it deals with Beowulf, and Beowulf is from the beginning. It's a poem that was written in the 900s about a warrior who helps out a king in Denmark to get rid of a monster that eats his men during the night. The monster is called Grendel, and so some of the songs on the album are written from the perspective of Beowulf, and some are written from the perspective of Grendel. But it's not a retelling or word for word thing. It's more of more of a starting point and a revolving center for stuff that we as Grand Magus have been singing about for 25 years now. So,
Any particular songs got any stories that you want to embellish on for me? Tell us about Winter Storms. Tell us about that one. That's one of my favourites.
okay, cool. Yeah, Winter Storms is one of the songs that's written from the perspective of Grendel, the monster. So it's obviously a song about loneliness and also about envy, I would say, and trying to find solace in emptiness and things that other people can't handle. So, like the chorus says, for Grendel, the winter storms, they keep him warm, whereas for all the humans around him that he both envies and hates, obviously they freeze from the winter storms, but he thrives on them, you know. So yeah,
Thrives on our suffering.
exactly, yeah.
Excellent. Any others you want to embellish on? The End Belongs to You. Bring us that one.
Yeah, The End Belongs to You is well, it's difficult. I mean, when I talk about the songs now, I describe the basic content of the lyrics, but obviously the lyrics have a lot of different meanings to them, and most importantly, the lyrics are a vessel to express emotion and hopefully for the listener to feel something as well. So it's not, I mean, the intellectual content is extremely non-important compared to the emotional response that you get from listening to it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So the end belongs to you is is about when Grendel's life, or rather, when Grendel's mother's life is at an end. You know, when Beowulf has killed Grendel, his mother comes up from the bottom of the lake and retrieves his body, you know, and swims down to the bottom of the lake where she lives. This is going to be a long story, man. But anyway, for me, The End Belongs to You is both about ending a relationship and also about asking for mercy. So you can edit all the bullshit I said earlier out if you want, because that's the gist of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What have you got planned for album release? Are you going on tour? Is there a launch show? What's going on?
Yeah, we're actually going to do like a release gig party thing in Gothenburg, Sweden, the day after on the 19th. It's a Saturday. So we're going to play a few songs from the album, and it's going to be a very small thing, but hopefully fun. And then we are going on tour supporting Opeth in Europe in February next year. Yeah. So that's going to be 3 weeks with them. So that's what we've got planned at the moment. And yeah, during the summer we're going to do some festivals in Europe as well.
Okay. Now you mentioned festivals; they seem to have bounced back, if you like, after
Yeah.
the lockdowns and that. What about like local clubs and that? Are you finding many of them have been forced to close and stay closed? How are you off for smaller club venues?
Um, I'm not sure. Since we haven't toured
Hmm.
since everything came back, I'm not in the loop how things are. But from what I've heard, obviously a lot of venues and also smaller clubs had to shut down, and not to mention restaurants and everything. So,
Hmm.
um, but I'm uncertain how things are. Um, um, I do know that things have gotten a lot more expensive touring wise.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a challenge to go on tour, especially if you're not, Metallica.
Hmm. I think it would be pretty challenging for them too, just quietly. Yeah.
They have no problem earning money
Hmm.
doing it because they're one of the biggest bands in the world.
Hmm.
I think it's tougher. I think it's tougher now than it was for smaller
Hmm.
and
Oh yeah.
intermediate level bands.
Hmm. If you were starting off now, what would like knowing what you know now? If you were just starting off again, what would you do differently? Anything? Is there any
The
knowledge you have now that you wish you had back then?
the famous hypothetical question.
Mm,
Uh, um, well, I'm a firm believer in that you can't change the past. So um, I think the only thing you can change or remedy is if you've hurt someone, you can try and make it up to them. But all the other decisions that you made in your life, they are what they are, and they have shaped you into who you are today. And I think we, since we always followed our hearts when we did this, I don't think we made any decisions that I would make different today.
yep. Okay. No, it's a good answer. What's the funniest thing that's happened on tour?
Oh
What's the first
wow.
one that comes in your head? Is there a show that you've walked off stage and looked at each other and said, holy crap, did that happen? What's your favourite memory?
Okay, well, that's a good one because that's pretty specific. Yeah, we did a tour supporting Motorhead in 2010 in Germany, and the last show we did, we uh, during the gig that we did, first the Motorhead crew started to dismantle our drummer's kit during the show while we were actually playing. So at the end of the show, the only things that were left were his snare drum and his kick drum. Everything else was, you know, carried off stage. And during the last song, which I think was our song Iron Will,
Yeah.
uh, Lemmy turned up on stage in a hunchback suit, uh, and Mickey D had this weird big clown suit that he had on certain days when he felt like it. And Phil Campbell, yeah, he had this kind of jester suit on, and they came on stage doing this weird dance in front of us, and the audience just went fucking mental. and it was pretty hard to concentrate on you were doing as a band at that point. So yeah, it was good fun. We had a blast on that tour, and yeah, what a legend, you know.
Absolutely. That sounds like a good one.
Yeah,
Okay, JB, thanks so much for taking the time to have a chat to me. Good luck with the new album Sunraven coming out on October 18. Good luck with the launch show. Good luck on tour. And thanks again for having a chat.
my pleasure. Thanks a lot, and maybe we'll see each other down under at one point or another.
You're welcome anytime. Come on down.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
All right. Thanks for having a chat, mate. Have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.